Okay, let's dive in. There's this question, right, that feels so central to just being human. We know what we want to change. We want to exercise more, maybe save some money, get that big project off the ground. But actually doing it, sticking with it, why does it always feel like pushing uphill? Why is change so hard, even when the motivation feels strong initially? Today we're digging into Atomic Habits, specifically Chapter 2, because it offers this really fundamental shift in perspective. The argument is, maybe we've been aiming wrong all along. So our mission here is to unpack this core idea that real lasting change isn't about the results you get, but about crafting a whole new identity.
It really is a radical shift. It makes you rethink where you put your energy, because if you're just chasing the outcome, lose the weight, finish the book, you're kind of setting yourself up for a temporary fix. The book argues the change has to go deeper. It's not what you get, but who you are becoming. That's the foundation.
Right. And before we get into the weeds on that, the book lays out these 3 layers of change. Can you maybe just quickly sketch those out for us,
Yeah.
just to set the stage?
Sure. Think of them like concentric circles going from the outside in. On the surface, you've got outcome change. This is purely the result. Losing 10 pounds, publishing the article, hitting a sales target, it's the what.
Okay, the finish line.
Exactly. Then, one layer deeper, there's process change. This is about your habits, your routines, your systems. So implementing a new workout plan, setting aside time to write each morning, that's the how.
The engine driving towards the outcome.
Precisely. And then, at the very core, the deepest layer, that's identity change. This is about your beliefs, your self-image, the story you tell yourself. It's moving from just doing the workout to actually being the kind of person who values fitness and consistency.
And that's the key difference, isn't it? That internal shift.
That's the whole argument,
Yeah.
really, because focusing only on outcomes, that's why so many resolutions just fizzle out. Achieving a goal only changes your life for that moment. You solve the problem at the surface level, but the underlying cause might still be there.
Ah, so that's the yo-yo effect we hear about. Like people train like crazy for a marathon. They cross the finish line, get the medal, and then boom, training stops completely.
Yeah.
Because the goal is done.
Exactly. The goal vanished, so the system they built around it just dissolves. Why? Because their identity was tied to the goal, I am training for this marathon. They didn't fully become a person who runs, a person who embraces the ongoing process. And that's why the book pushes so hard on shifting focus first to who you want to be.
Okay, so the core idea is the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. But hang on, what if I already think I'm a writer, but I still stare at a blank page? Is identity just pretending?
That's a fair question. No, it's not just wishful thinking. The identity has to be earned. You need proof. And this leads to maybe the most powerful metaphor in the chapter. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
A vote. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So if you sit down and write, even just one sentence, you've cast a vote for I am a writer. If you choose the healthy option, that's a vote for I am a healthy person. If you procrastinate, well, that's a vote for I am someone who puts things off. It's not about one big dramatic change. It's these tiny micro-evolutions of the self. You're building a body of evidence, bit by bit, habit by habit, vote by vote. You're aiming for a majority.
That connects really strongly to the psychological side, doesn't it? Those limiting beliefs we all carry around. Oh, I'm just not good with money, or I'm terrible at remembering names. Even if that belief is negative, there's this weird internal pressure to stay consistent with it, to be the person you've always told yourself you are.
Absolutely. If you've spent, say, 20 years telling yourself, I'm always late, you have decades of votes confirming that identity. Trying to suddenly be punctual feels uncomfortable, almost like you're betraying yourself.
Yeah, it's friction. You're
Yeah.
fighting against this established narrative. It feels easier, safer almost, to just fall back into the old pattern because it confirms who you think you are.
It requires real emotional effort to actively reject that old identity, even the negative parts. And this ties into another point the book makes about goals and happiness. If your happiness is pinned entirely on achieving the outcome, I'll be happy when I lose the weight, I'll feel successful when I get the promotion, you're basically deferring satisfaction. You're telling yourself you're lacking right now.
Right, putting happiness on hold until you cross some arbitrary line. That sounds exhausting.
It is, and the system's first approach offers a counter. When you learn to love the process, the system itself, you don't need to wait for the end result to feel good. Satisfaction comes from running the system. Did you show up today? Did you cast your vote? Okay, system's running. That's a win. You find joy in the doing.
Okay, but let me push back slightly. What if you tie your identity too tightly to a specific process? Like, I am a runner. Then you get injured, you break your leg. Does your whole identity just crumble? Isn't that fragile?
That's a really important nuance. The identity needs to be flexible, adaptable. So maybe instead of I am a person who runs 5 miles every single day, it's broader. Maybe it's I am a person who prioritizes movement and athletic well-being. The first one breaks if you can't run. The second one, it adapts. Okay, can't run, maybe I swim, maybe I focus on physical therapy. The core identity commitment to health remains intact.
Ah, okay. So the identity is the why, but the process, the how, can shift. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we actually do this? How do we start building that identity, casting those votes? It seems like reframing is key.
Reframing is huge. Let's take saving money. If you only see it as sacrifice, I can't buy this coffee, I have to cut back, it feels punishing.
Yeah, negative association.
But if you reframe it through the lens of the identity you want, say, I am becoming financially independent or I am building future freedom, then setting money aside isn't a sacrifice anymore.
It becomes an action that confirms that desired identity. It's empowering, not limiting. Putting money in savings becomes a vote for future freedom me.
Exactly. And that identity becomes your North Star. It guides your decisions. Without knowing who you want to be, trying to change habits is directionless, like that boat without a rudder the book mentions. Ultimately, the habits matter not just for the results they bring, but because they literally shape and reinforce your beliefs about yourself. That's the real transformation.
This feels very much like the identity, the internal desire, has to come first, or at least be nurtured first. But the book brings up the Polgar sisters, the chess prodigies. And that seems to muddy the waters a bit. Their father, Laszlo Polgar, had this really strong belief, almost extreme, that genius isn't born, it's made. A genius is not born, but is educated and trained, was his motto. And he basically engineered their childhoods around chess, a perfect system.
Right, and it's often used as the example for how a rigorous system or environment can create exceptional skill. And you can't argue with the results. Judith became the youngest grandmaster ever at the time. The system clearly worked on one level, but there's a crucial detail in how the sisters describe it. They didn't just endure the training, they apparently found it attractive, even enjoyable. There's that story of Sophia playing late at night, saying the pieces won't leave me alone.
Okay, so that's the tension. The system was intense, inescapable even, but they seemed to genuinely connect with it, maybe even love it. So the debate is, did the perfect system create the identity? Did the constant reinforcement, the rewards, the focus, essentially force them into becoming people who love chess?
Or did they have some initial spark, some predisposition that made them receptive to the system? Did that internal resonance, that identity alignment, allow the grueling system to actually stick and feel enjoyable rather than like torture?
It's a chicken and egg thing, isn't it? Was it the system forcing the identity or an underlying identity making the system work?
I tend to lean towards the idea that the system was like an incredibly effective incubator. It created the perfect conditions for a chess identity to flourish and be rewarded. But they still had to choose to engage day after day. They cast those votes. If there was zero internal alignment, if they truly hated it deep down, I suspect you'd get burnout, rebellion, not world-class, joyful mastery. The identity, I think, was the fuel, even if the system built the engine.
I can see that. But I can also imagine an argument where the system itself was so well designed with clear feedback, constant progress, parental praise, that it generated the enjoyment. The system made being a chess player the most rewarding identity available to them. So maybe the system did shape the identity.
It's definitely plausible the system heavily influenced the attractiveness of that identity. But regardless of which came first for the Polgars, the key takeaway for you listening is that once that alignment is there, the identity and the system become intertwined. Their love for the game, their identity as chess players, meant that when they hit a tough spot, they didn't question being a chess player. They questioned their strategy. They worked within the identity, not against it.
Okay, that makes sense. The alignment removes a huge layer of internal conflict.
Exactly. And that brings us right back to the core message from this chapter, from this deep dive. If you're looking for change that lasts, you have to shift your focus. Stop obsessing over the outcome, the finish line. Start focusing on the kind of person you're building, day by day. Ask yourself constantly, is this action helping me become the type of person I want to be?
Yeah. And taking that vote idea seriously.
Yeah.
Maybe do a quick mental audit. Think about your last week. All those little choices, the easy ones and the hard ones, when you were tired or stressed. If you tallied up all those votes, what identity did they actually elect? Not the one you aspire to, but the one you're actively building right now through your actions. It's a sobering thought, maybe. So here's a challenge for you this week. Pick one of those limiting beliefs you hold about yourself. That little voice that says, I'm not the kind of person who. And just commit to casting one small, concrete vote against it today. Just one. Start that microevolution. See who you might elect by the end of the month.